I would like to stress a couple of things. First of all, in the last decade, Azerbaijan has been one of the fastest growing transition economies. And the government is really committed to tackling reform challenges which are critical to the long-term economic prospects of the country and well-being of the population. And we know that the Vision 2020 really highlighted the major challenges that the country is facing and the tools, the way how these challenges could be addressed. It considers poverty reduction, economic diversification, and regional, social, and economic development as the central topics and the central areas where the progress should be achieved. Azerbaijan has formulated a national employment strategy in 2005, and since then there was a lot of progress on implementing the strategy. The strategy identifies several priorities, including a reform of the labor market institutions and policies. It identifies a strengthening of the National Employment Service as one of the directions, modernization of the vocational education and training system, introduction of the lifelong learning, improvement of social protection of job seekers and unemployed citizens, and promotion of youth employment, employment of women, people with disabilities, IDPs, and other groups experiencing difficulties in joining the labor market. Also, the education training system in Azerbaijan needs to be reformed so as to be better able to respond to the changing needs of the labor market. In particular, there is a need to develop a modern system of vocational education and training, as well as adult training or lifelong learning, which will equip workers with skills required by the employers. And I have to stress that we are working not only with the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, but also with the Ministry of Education, and we are now working on the development of a new project which will address the issues in the whole tertiary education, including the vocational and education training, which is a very important direction. We know that in Azerbaijan the system is really not in a good shape, and there is a need to revive the system and to put a lot of effort in order to make it really operational. I would like to stress also that the group, prior to the social protection project, Azerbaijan lacked modern occupational classification and occupational standards profiles as key factors to refer to requirements of employment. For example, so there was no standards either at entry level or for skills work level or middle technician level, neither within the industry sector, nor in particular on occupation or job within a sector. There was no international compatibility, transparency of occupational standards with reference to the ISCO 88/08 standards. As a result, workers do not have a means of documenting or communicating to employers and employment agencies skills learned through their informal or formal channels. And employers do not have a means of defining skill requirements by occupation and communicating them to employment and training agencies, or evaluating the skills of individuals presenting themselves for employment. Also, employment and training agencies do not have good information to screen job seekers or develop training programs. Employers report that the existing process of certification is not relevant to their needs. They often find the job candidates with certification in a particular occupational skill are not in fact competent in that skill. To permit more efficient recruitment and improved labor mobility for all occupational groups, there was a fundamental need for occupational standards and certification which reflect actual work practices throughout the economy and which have credibility among employers. Training programs, in turn, should prepare candidates to meet those standards. So we were facing really a situation when none of the participants of the labor market equipped with the relevant skills and relevant techniques and means to assess, to communicate, and to work effectively. Moreover, globalization of the world economy and acceleration of interstate integration processes requires facilitation of international exchange of information on occupations, which makes it necessary to adjust national standards and occupational classification of all countries to single international standard. The World Bank responded to these challenges, and we provided a loan to the government of Azerbaijan, which was called Social Protection Development Project. But in fact, so a big chunk of these resources were directed really to the development of the labor market policies, institutions, and also for the development of occupational standards. One of the activities of the project was technical assistance to the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection of Population in carrying out the development of the improved occupational standards according to the international standards, and relevant training standards with the objective to improve labor force mobility, recruitment efficiency, and training program relevance by developing employer-relevant occupation skills certification. Today we can report that as part of this project, 200 occupational standards have been developed, including training and assessment standards, in particular in the areas of tourism, manufacturing, construction, power engineering, agriculture, transportation, and service sectors. They were all developed. In fact, the work on occupational training standards is ongoing. It's just the beginning of the process. Yes, there is something that we can report on, but there is much more to be done. I would like to reiterate, what the minister has already said, that this process was really effective, so it was a productive cooperation, but we need to do much more. At this stage, we are facing really a phase of implementation of these standards. And I want to stress that the Center of the Occupational Standards has been established. Relevant works have been undertaken for the creation of the Workforce Development Agency on the basis of the center. And we have to stress that this is a stage when this agency should be established and become fully functional. And we are prepared to work in that direction. The World Bank is prepared to advise and to assist the government in really putting in place a relevant agency to continue the implementation process. Finally, I would like to congratulate the GOPA consultants and SEFT Consulting for the successful and timely completion of this activity. And I would like to congratulate the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection of Population for an outstanding and effective collaboration and support to the project. Teşekkür ederim.